Hey everyone, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I'm Shannon Smith,
I'm Julia Neal.
and we're with the Above and Beyond movement. And this Friday, we have a fellow boss babe and very close friend of ours, Colleen Rippey. She has been a community builder, a facilitator of events. She's been so involved in a lot of our communities, in real estate, as well as in other areas. So welcome, Colleen.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This is so freaking cool.
I'm
Honored.
so excited. So I kind of gave just like a very general overview of how you've kind of been in our lives, but why don't you give our audience a little bit more insight into you?
Sure. Thank you for even asking. So I'll start with, when you think about who we are as people, I got to think first and foremost, I'm a wife. I think that's always important to note. My wife, Jillian, is amazing. And speaking of my wife, one of our passion projects that kind of fuels a lot of what we do on the for-profit side is our nonprofit, which is formerly called Simple Sacrifice. And we'll include that name for a while just because people are used to it. But we recently rebranded it to Love and Lunches. And you guys are familiar with that because you've been big donors and volunteers in the effort. So thank you guys so much for that. And so Love and Lunches, just super quickly, it's our nonprofit organization. It's been around since my wife Jill was a teenager, actually, and we relaunched it 5 or 6 years ago. I'm losing track of time, but basically what we do is we provide love and lunches to Baltimore City's underprivileged, a lot of homeless individuals, people, not even all homeless though, just people who could use a lunch, as simple as that is. And the love is first, and that's why we're rebranding it to Love and Lunches, because what we do is we spend every single Sunday, we don't skip a Sunday, even if we're out of town, which isn't happening much lately. We get our amazing volunteers, our amazing community to fill in for us. And we essentially make anywhere from 100 to 300, depending on the week, bagged lunches. We bring it to the same spot in the city, right around the shot tower, and we deliver it to our friends who are waiting for us. And the love is so important because it's a population of people, as you guys probably know, that typically feel insignificant. They feel inhuman a lot of the times. They get ignored, they get spit on. And so it's just paying attention and making eye-to-eye contact with a population that typically feels unloved. So that's the most fulfilling part for me, and I think our volunteers. So that kind of encapsulates what drives a lot of what we do, because we're able to continue to do that because of the other kind of businesses that are at play. So kind of what you guys know me best for among all this is the main company that I run called Baltimore Real Producers, which is really essentially just a high-level real estate mastermind community that you guys, because you produce at a high level and you're such amazing people, you're our part of. And that really breaks down into, I guess, 3 main facets. One, we have an actual monthly print magazine that we print and distribute. I got a copy right here, our Boss Moms edition.
Ooh, I was about to say, I know that one.
And this is the one that just dropped. It's our June quarantine edition. So this was our no photo shoot edition, which was like a fun challenge to deal with during this quarantine. So that was cool. The community came together and submitted photos. So we do monthly print magazine. We tell real people stories from the community. We bring the top agents like you guys and the local businesses that support the industry together, typically face-to-face. Now it's been more virtual, to share and collaborate together. And then thirdly, of course, we have our private Facebook group that allows people to continue to connect and source wisdom from online in the Facebook world. And those are like the 2 big things. And there's, of course, some other things in the background and things I'm moving towards, but that's just kind of like, we say, oh, what do you do? Kind of the 2 main buckets that I'm operating in, at least right now.
I love that. And we love being a part of everything you have going on. I feel like we're talking a lot before launching this episode. And if I had to put what you do in 1 or 2 words, it would be community building and leadership. So I'd love to kind of direct you there. Can you talk to us more about your view of leadership and the communities that you are working so hard to build?
Sure. That's such an amazing question. Yeah, I guess growing up, I never really considered myself a traditional type leader. I'd always want to be somebody who's more kind of in the background, more of like a follower. But being in this role at Baltimore Real Producers, it kind of just evolved that way, that I fell into more of a leadership role. And kind of from the start, I've always wanted it to be more of a collaboration of everyone. And it's not like everybody in this community, in Baltimore Real Producers specifically, they all have their own lives. They all have their own businesses. They're all entrepreneurs, business owners. They're not necessarily like looking at, for somebody to tell them what to do. In fact, I know least about that, having never been a realtor. So I think what's so important, and it kind of encompasses leadership and community building, there's so much power in simply creating space for like-minded and like-hearted people to come together, both physically and virtually, and how much energy that creates and how much more you can learn. And I think it elevates three main forms of capital that we talk about in this community I'm a part of for facilitators. It elevates social capital, which is what a lot of people really want, is a community of people who are like them. They can build relationships. And then it elevates intellectual capital, which is people want to come together and learn from each other, right? And then the third thing is that not everybody is necessarily consciously aware of, but unconsciously, is communal capital, which speaks to the community, the being a part of something bigger than yourself. And it's amazing because if you're just in this industry, I'm not saying Baltimore Real Producers is credited for all of this, because there's micro communities within this real estate community as well. But at the same time, without just creating a forum for this community to come together, even the most well-meaning people, it just won't happen organically. So I think it's just so important, and this applies to anybody listening, like not just what I'm doing. This community is more important now than I think it's ever been, especially as we're navigating these rapidly evolving and changing times. Even before COVID, honestly, because the rate of change is accelerating faster than it ever has. And it's accelerating at a rate, according to many scientists, faster than humans' ability to adapt to that change. And that's why it's more important than ever to bring the collective together, because one person, the owner of a company, the leader of the free world, whoever, they don't have all the answers. Not one single person, not one expert has all the answers. We have to lean on the wisdom and be asking those questions for everybody to weigh in so that we can make meaningful change and move forward.
I know that you share so much about the facilitation group that you are a part of, and all of the value that you get from that. So I was hoping and wondering if you would be willing to share maybe a little bit of a tip on how to create communities that are interactive, because I think that's really where a lot of people struggle. You can build the Facebook group, but how do you get people interacting on there like you do with Baltimore Real Producers on a daily and on a monthly basis?
And in a proactive and positive way, because anyone can build a community around all types of different
right
people.
That's a really great question. And even speaking about the Facebook group in general, I'd like to think that there was heavy intention behind it. I have to give some credit to luck that people just naturally took to it, which I think also just speaks to how needed and necessary it was, because people just gravitated to it without me having to kind of pull any legs or, reach out to people individually and be like, hey, can you like post in here? There was a little bit of that in the beginning. As we were just launching, I was like, okay, people are in the group. Like everyone is scared at first to like post something and really get it rolling. But I think
figuring out what it's going to, like, what do you post? What is this group for?
Yeah, exactly. And kind of speaking to the culture of the group is actually something that I haven't done yet, but this is something kind of like in the future. And I would recommend to anybody watching who has a Facebook group. One that I'm a part of that is the most interactive I've seen, and it's only like 300 people, is my exchange community, which is the facilitators group. And I attribute that to a few variables. It's all amazing people, of course, just like the Real Producers group, but they created a culture from the onset of marking everything and categorizing every post with a hashtag. And there's only 4 choices. Okay. Maybe they have 5 now, but I want to institute this in Real Producers. I just haven't yet. So we can look forward to that. But it's basically hashtag give, because you're just giving value, contributing,
Yep.
anything. A lot falls under that umbrella, right? Hashtag ask, which is huge. And that's a lot. I don't even know if it's the majority, but many posts are asking
I was about to say,
questions.
that's probably most of my posts on the
Yeah, because
BRP.
hey, does anybody know a good chimney inspector in Anne Arundel County or whatever?
Any suggestions on this situation?
Yeah, or mapping out exactly a story and whatever the situation is, like who has insights on this exactly. Hashtag praise, which is a great one, and that's happened
Love that.
organically, but to make that like a cultural thing would be awesome, because people loving on each other in the group elevates that feeling of connectedness for sure. And then the last one's hashtag win. People just sharing their wins. Like, why not? Just something positive. So I want to emulate that in the group. I know that's not what we've done, but I'm just, again, thinking ahead to like how we can make it even more positively framed and even more interactive. And that way it kind of makes people think of it in terms of what bucket does this fill in? And it also kind of weeds out stuff that they may consider posting. Like, we don't have hashtag complaint, like, so it's like, does this fit into the category? Yeah, I probably shouldn't post.
And to maybe frame it a different way, right? Because it's all in how it's portrayed. So it could come off as a complaint, but if someone has to put it as an ask, right? Is there a question there? Is there something productive?
Exactly. It's true. Because I don't want to say that there's no value for mapping out like an unfortunate situation. And then if there's a question, like to ask for advice, or instead of just like airing out dirty laundry, that's not necessarily productive. But to your question of like the Facebook group is one thing. I think if, for people wondering, like, how do you make a community interactive and in general? And I think about our events, I think the biggest key is a focus on asking questions instead of telling, or like when I think about in the scope of hosting an event, whether it's virtual, which is the majority now, or in person, the value of bringing people physically, especially together in a room to listen to back-to-back speakers is slowly declining over time. And it's because you could watch it on YouTube, and like, there's all this passive information everywhere. So when you really think about it, like, what's going to get somebody when we're back to this space to get on a plane, leave their family, and fly to a convention? Well, in my mind, it's certainly not an event that's 99% listening to speakers back to back. Because I could watch their TED Talk later and get the gist. And so what makes the room come alive and what makes communities come alive is asking powerful questions, because then it allows everyone to engage, everyone to participate together, feel like they have some ownership in it, and feel excited to be a part of it because it's interactive.
True physical
group thing, group share.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, Colleen, thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. Is there anything else that you'd really like to share? And I definitely want to give everyone the space to know where to contact you if they have questions about Simple Sacrifice or anything else you guys have going on.
Great question. To your first question, is there anything else? I know it can be kind of long-winded, so I'll keep this short. Something that came to mind earlier today, and I was just like, this just seems like it's important today, and it's relevant in our conversation talking about leadership. And I don't remember who said this quote, but your ability to lead others will never exceed your level of self-leadership. So that's been really pivotal for me navigating this COVID stuff. And I'm not even saying I'm like great at it. Like, it's just, it's something that's on my mind and that I'm working towards, because I am in a season right now in my life, I guess it'll be forever, but especially where I'm just noticing that I need to focus on, before I can hit the next, milestone in my career or get the next external success, which what's been honestly kind of driving me my whole life for really deep rooted like reasons that are coming out in therapy right now, like why I care about being significant or having influence or making money and all this stuff that really, when you get down to it, doesn't matter. So I'm focusing on, before I want to, I'm taking the next step as a leader to grow my organization and whatever future organizations, I have to focus on leading myself, and honestly taking care of myself and slowing down a little bit and not just grinding and hustling through this. Like, we're just going to break it through. It's like, we have to kind of audit our mindset right now and slow down and take inventory of where we're at and kind of work through our own mindset right now.
you can only love others as much as you love yourself, and you can't give to others until you give to yourself and you're in a good foundation, right? So
Exactly. And you guys are amazing role models for that too. And I know we've been kind of talking about this.
Everybody's gonna hear that quote, on Friday today, I guess, and realize that they saw it on the Tuesday teaser, because that was perfect.
Or the Monday quote post.
Well, Colleen,
I'm sorry I didn't share. You asked information to contact me. Anybody who's watching can totally email me, hit up my cell. I don't mind sharing that on here. So yeah, my email, and you guys can post it wherever it is, Colleen.Rippey at Gmail is probably easier because that encompasses everything, at gmail.com. And then my cell, you guys can share my cell too.
Okay, we'll put that down in the comments.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I mean, as far as building a community, you have been such a rock star at it. And I think when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it comes organically. And that's kind of the story that you told today. And I've heard it a million times, but it's always so special hearing it again and seeing this community grow and being able to be a part of that community with you. I mean, thank you so much for everything, because it's been really, really great.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being such advocates and cheerleaders for, what we're doing, because that is what drives this whole thing. So thank you.
Speaking for the real estate industry specifically, pivoting a little bit, I don't think the Baltimore real estate community would be what it is today without you and your influence with
that. Absolutely. So
that's high praise. Thank you so much.
So grateful.
Hashtag praise.
Hashtag praise. Launch those and that will be your first one.
I need to put that post out. Yeah.
I love it.
It'll happen over time. We know people won't pick up on it right away, but we just got to train them.
Exactly. All right. Well,
the prompts, but
thank you guys. Thank you so much. Everybody will have our information down at the bottom for you guys to reach out to her at any point. And Colleen, we'll hang out soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye guys.
Have a great Friday.